Okay, in this video I'm going to show you how to port and polish a aluminum cylinder head on a 1.6 liter Volkswagen diesel. Um, this is a look at the head. You need to, when you disassemble it, you want to make sure and label your lifters and your valves and put them back in the same order that you removed them. And if you're ever curious to what the difference between a hydraulic lifter and a mechanical lifter is that the mechanical lifter has this little shim that goes onto the lifter itself, and there's a little recess on the bottom part of the lifter that this sits into. After you've got it completely disassembled, what I like to do is to take an oven cleaner and spray it into all the ports and let that soak for 5 or 10 minutes, and then use a pressure washer to clean it out. And I would primarily do the ports themselves. I would not do the rest of the outside of the cylinder head or the top of the cylinder head, because I'm not entirely sure that that's all that good for the aluminum, because it is a very acidic chemical you're putting on there. But it does a really good job. You can see on this exhaust port how clean it is after I've done that. Okay, and then let's talk about the tools you'll need. Here's for the aluminum, you need a carbide aluminum bit. You can see the teeth on it; they're more aggressive. That's the aluminum one right there, and this is one for steel, right here. And you don't want to use this because they gum up a lot. And after you grind it to get your shape with this one, you then go to a tapered sanding disc on one of these, and you start out with about 80 grits, and you sand it smooth to get your coarseness out of the port, and then you can finish it up with a kind of a Scotch-Brite wheel on an arbor to make it nice and shiny. And here's what you do. Because I don't have any machinist die on aluminum, you can get by with this. Is you can take just a magic marker and color the outside of the aluminum, and then you stick your gasket up to it like so, and you just bolt it down. I took out the studs, but you position it and you bolt it down, and then you take your scribe and scribe around that area like that, and you can see it pretty well even in the video here. And then you just start with the carbide burr, and you start to work your opening. This one's just been worked out with the carbide burr. You can see how much larger of an opening it is versus the one I haven't worked on yet. And on the top side, you can see also the difference on the where I've just ground out and smoothed out versus this one, how it's got this, more of a lip here, and it's not entirely uniform. And you also want to be careful not to get into the seats of the valves. I did, because this is a practice head, because this head's not any good. You can see it's cracked right here and right here, and it's also warped, so it's not worth anything. So it's just a practice head. But after you've done that, got it shaped the way you want it, like this one, you can then start sanding it. And this one I have sanded with the 80 grit tapered disc. Sorry, trying to get the light positioned here. Using one of these, you then just start working it to get it smooth and get out your big chunks or your rough spots from your grinder, from the carbide bit, and get it smoother. And then after that, you move up to, I went to 220 on this one because it's an exhaust valve. You want to get your exhaust valves as smooth as possible so the air flows out. So after you've done 220, you then take your Scotch-Brite wheel and move it in and out to polish it nice and shiny like that. And I like to use lighter WD-40 the whole time I'm doing that, just to keep the dust down, as well as it keeps the aluminum from building up on your sanding wheels or your Scotch-Brite polishing pad. And that, I think, is pretty much so it. Just take your time on the intake. you don't want to make them really shiny. You can see I've got these cleaned up and just made them less biased. If you look on the top side here, one of them I have not done. Let's see, this one right here, you can see kind of a, let's get some light in there, you can see how it's not completely uniform right there versus one that I have worked on right there. You can see how it's much more open, allows air to flow in more freely. And you only want to take those to like about 80 grit sandpaper because you want the roughness on the intake side to allow the air to be more atomized when it goes into the combustion chamber. And that's pretty much so it.